of these recommendations will require legislation which can be enacted by rule, whether it's JCAR or the Training Commission, and where does the money come from, particularly for continuing training?
Excellent question. A large number of the recommendations can be implemented by the Ohio Police Officers Training Commission. You'll see in these recommendations, the recommendation, for example, about how many academies there should be. I anticipate that the Commission will take a little time to focus on this and maybe have additional testimony and tackle that one. But the implementation is going to have to come from them. If you look at the what I call pre-academy qualifications, I believe the Commission can do most of those themselves. The biggest question is exactly what you've said in the second part of your question, and that is money. There was a reason I briefed the governor's office, and there was a reason I briefed the members of the legislature or their staff. This group has done a great job. It's come back with some sterling recommendations. Now the discussion really in the state of Ohio has to begin. I think this group has given the legislature, the governor's office, the attorney general, anybody who's a public official, a blueprint to where Ohio will go from being in the bottom third on some things to lead the nation. We owe our citizens no less than that. And I'll go back to what I said a moment ago when we started. Every Ohio citizen deserves to have police officers who are trained the best they can be trained. And every police officer in the state of Ohio deserves the best training. It is a matter of life and death. And for those men and women who put their lives on the front line every single day, we owe that to them, and we owe that to the citizens that they interact with. This starts a debate. This starts a discussion. We don't know, where everything is going to go, but this is the blueprint to how to get there. The biggest challenge, obviously, is money. It is not cheap. It is not cheap to increase the number of hours for training annually. There's a dollars and cents cost there. It is not cheap, but it's imperative that we do it, that we move to even more scenario-based, real-world training. It is possible today, for a police officer to be on the force for 20, 30 years and not have very much as far as refresher courses in regard to life and death scenarios. That's possible, and we have to end that. So yeah, there's going to be a price tag to this, and to do the hands-on training of real-world situations is highly labor-intensive. So that's not going to be cheap to do. Who else?
General, can you add one thing to the cost? The group talked a lot about the cost, although we didn't crunch the numbers. But the one thing that resonated with the group is that there is a cost to not doing these as well. And for us to not comply and conform to these recommendations might mean you might be more subject to litigation. You might have personal situations. So we think there's a cost to not doing this, despite what the cost might be. And we can, eventually that's a discussion. It is something for further discussion. But we also know that, in this day and age, with law enforcement being under a microscope, there's a major cost to not implementing these recommendations.